Once upon a time. No, wait. Only fairy tales begin that way. This is not a fairy tale. This is real life. My life. How one little girl changed it. Believe it or not, people from those fairy tales you grew up hearing about are real. And this is our story. We lived among the humans peacefully for hundreds of years. Sure, we had our differences for a time or two, but we were happy. But then, someone, I don't know who, but someone decided he or she didn't want to continue living with the other kind. There was a war that broke throughout the land that destroyed everyone's lives. The owner of the farm where my family lived and helped, Old MacDonald, died. My father died shortly after, and I promised him I would tend to the gardens. When the war was finally over, a treaty was signed between humans and fairy tale creatures. As part of that treaty, we had to remain hidden and live in secrecy. Our human friends kept our stories and shared them with their family and friends, and a song was made in honor of Old MacDonald. Did you know that? Chapter 1. The Meeting of Maria. The sun beat down on me as I stood in the tall weeds within the garden. I'm sure wild vegetables were growing in there somewhere, but I had lost interest over the years. It had been so long since I saw a human, I was beginning to think they didn't exist anymore. And then I heard a noise that grabbed my attention. I leaned over to get a peek over a sticky weed with thorns, being careful not to touch it, when I saw a strange carriage arrive. Butterflies flew around in my stomach, causing knots. What was this thing approaching me? Was it a monster? I think everyone knows monsters aren't real. Banshees may be real, but monsters are not. I ducked down, so the large white carriage couldn't see me. I almost forgot I was supposed to freeze so I wouldn't be seen. And then I suddenly remembered and held real still as I carefully watched. The carriage stopped directly in front of the garden, opened up, and a man, a human man, stepped out of the carriage. Was this a magical carriage? I was amazed by the white beastly carriage. I didn't notice the knots in my stomach so much now, because I was in awe of the contraption. What kind of carriage was this thing? The side opened up a little more, and a small human in a dress jumped out. She was much shorter than the man, so I knew she was a child. She had olive skin like the man, but her hair was much longer, and there were a lot of curls bouncing around as she jumped around. Seeing her excitement made me feel excited, and I wasn't even sure why. I ducked a little lower so they couldn't see me as I smiled, trying to keep that excitement hidden. And then I realized my hat could be seen, so I removed it swiftly before anyone looked in my direction. 3 more humans climbed out of the carriage. Another little girl with long straight hair, a small man, and a woman who I only imagine was their mother. She was pale like the boy was, and the other girl had olive skin too. They weren't that far away from me, but it felt like miles for my little size. "Welcome home, guys. You like it?" the man asked. His voice was firm and very commanding. Home? Were they moving in? Was I not going to be alone anymore? I wanted to scream out to celebrate, but I knew the law. I had to remain hidden at all cost. Now I was beginning to feel bad for staying behind. I could have gone to the woods with my family and lived in the bubble, but I chose to stay here and keep a promise I made to my father. I tried to hold in my excitement when I saw another beast approach. It was much larger than the one they had. The rear end opened up, and they began to remove its guts. When I realized it wasn't guts, I felt relieved. It was just furniture. By the time the sun lowered in the sky, they were finished moving everything in. I didn't see them again until the next morning. The door to the house flew open, and the little girl ran onto the porch. Her mother chased after her, yelling up a storm. I took notice and began to watch through my shield of weeds. "Maria, I don't want you running around in the yard. You know what the doctor told you." Her mother's voice was soothing, but it was also very firm, just like my mama's voice. I missed her so much. "I know, but I just want to play. I'm not going to do anything that will hurt my heart," the girl said as the boy ran past her. He ran towards the empty field. "I know you're not, because you're not running around. I mean it, Maria." "Okay, Mom." "All right, stay close to the house. Breakfast will be ready soon." "Okay."